So in this video, we're going to dig deep into the absolute best tips to improve your stage presence. We're going to take a look at each member in the band and also each member how they work together on the stage as a band. So let's get you what you need to improve the stage presence of yourself and your group. Coming up. Welcome to the channel. Here on this channel, we work towards helping you, the developing musician, to get better and to help your band to become the better band. If you find this video valuable today, please hit the like button and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. So, improving stage presence. I know some of you might be anxious just about the thought of getting out on the stage for the very first time, and I get it. But improving stage presence for yourself and your band isn't that complicated. But it does require work so that you look professional. I'm a professional, a stage professional. First, let's get practical. If you're going to get better, you need to do two things. First, you need to film yourself a lot. I mean it. One of the greatest tools a musician can use is a camera. You're going to use this to observe yourself and how you move. You're going to use this to have a really honest conversation about yourself. Self, you look weird. Second, you're going to find performers that you admire and take note of what they do. You're going to use their actions as a framework to help you make changes to the things that you don't like about how you currently perform. So you have your camera, and you're looking for examples of good performers that you want to try to emulate or at least borrow some of their moves. Now, let's get something straight. When we start to get into the details of how you're going to improve your performance, you need to be open to constructive ideas that you can use. And I don't want you to get all righteous because some of these things, some of these ideas don't sound so rock and roll to you. You need to get over that, and especially the idea that this is choreography. You're in a band and you're a performer. These are the things that are going to help you look like an experienced pro as you adapt them to your own style. It won't be exactly the same, but like learning your instrument that you play, you also need to practice these so you don't look like a doofus. Doofus? Who are you calling a doofus? So let's get started. You're on stage. Well, now what? Well, the first thing you can do is just start moving a little. Honestly, move your head to the music. Maybe you're going to bounce up and down a little. Maybe you're going to close your eyes as you sing. This sounds terrifying to move in front of a group of people, but this is a start, I'm telling you. Next, let's get a little bit more specific about some movements that you can use. Guitar players, you're going to have to try to avoid looking like a potted plant just sitting there in the corner. You need to learn a few rock star moves. I know that sounds a little bit much, but just bear with me. So try taking a real wide stance. You look interesting. You've seen the guy who's doing something like this. You can have your legs together on certain songs, but you want mostly to have your legs doing something interesting as you're standing there and as you're being part of the band. Also, try grooving to the music. Your movements should make sense with the tempo of the song and the intensity. You should move with the music and look like you're part of the song. You can also do some opposition movements with the neck of your guitar. So you can do things like when you have a big downstroke, you take the neck and it comes up. So you're going ahead and you go boom. Or if you have an upstroke like this, the neck goes down. Oh. It's a simple idea, but it's very effective to see from the back of the room. Also, when necessary, you can do some large movements like slamming things down. Your movement should make sense with the tempo of the song and the intensity of the song. Also, you need to be aware of your barriers. If you're a background singer while the singer's doing his thing, if you're not singing, move away from the mic stand. It removes you from the crowd when you're standing behind something that's got in front of you. Also, if there are parts of the song where you're not playing an instrument, you can move that out of the way. Again, it's trying to get you close to the crowd and more relatable. It's a barrier, this guitar in front of you. Now, for you lead singers, this is really where it is super important that you study other lead singers. You need to be fully engaged with the audience. You need to look at them. Forget the moody rock star bit where you're standing here and you're moody and all that. The name of the game is to communicate and to look people in the eye. We're going to talk about the eye contact engagement part shortly. Basically though, you are on the front of the stage while you're singing. You can move side to side, you can do similar movements as the band, but you don't want to overdo it and just be crazy and moving around like a maniac. Your job is to sell the song. You do that with your face, you do that with your eyes, and you do that with your arms. You're going to find out what you currently do that your arms do and decide what you hate. Maybe you've got some squirrely thing that you do. I used to hate it when I first took off my guitar and I saw what I looked like, and I just felt completely out of place. It just felt weird. How do you do this? So I found a singer that I thought was very powerful in the way they performed, and then I watched specifically how he moved his arms. As he sang, he would put his arms in certain places, and I noticed that it looked much more comfortable. And so I started to adapt the exact same things that he did, and all of a sudden I noticed that I didn't look quite as odd when I was on stage. Also, if you have a mic stand, you should know when you're singing into it, and also when it's time to take the mic out and move it away and get rid of it. Drummers, you have a natural barrier in front of you. So you have your face, you have your arms, and most importantly, your performance as the drummer is really what you're there to do. You can do some of your performance by connecting with the band, grooving along with them, and eye contact with the crowd. Also doesn't hurt to know a few stick tricks if you know them. And if you don't know them, it's time to start to figure some of those out. For each of the members in the band, it keeps coming back to observing and learning how others have moved before you and adapt those movements to your own style. This is going to help you tremendously. Now, let's talk about your expression. You need to use lots of expression as you play. It should match the intensity of your performance. But no expressions is completely, and I mean completely, unforgivable. Don't be this guy. Next, let's talk about you and the audience. You are here to entertain. So beyond all of the movement that you do on the stage, you need to consider how you are going to entertain the crowd. How will you connect to them? You are on the stage to entertain. Are you not entertained? This is where I want to tell you about the 6-quadrant plan. The 6-quadrant plan is a method to get you to engage with the audience. You take this diagram that we have here, and you take the room you're in. Here at the bottom is the stage, and as you look out, you imagine that the room is divided into 6 equal parts. You need to try and look at each of these sections. And you can go section 1, 3, and 5, and then maybe 2, 4, and 6, or mix up the numbers and just make it so that you hit every section in the room. Doing this, you're going to connect more with the audience, and more often than not, the people are going to feel like they connected with you. They're going to feel affirmed as you make eye contact with them. Additionally, you see someone in the crowd, acknowledge them, point them out, nod at them, Yeah, man, yeah. Dude, point at them, nod. So those are the things you can do individually. Now let's talk about the band and the dynamics of the band together on stage. The interplay of yourself and the other members can be thought of as a dance. No way, man, I ain't dancing with a guitar player. Now, good dancers move with each other, so figure out your team. They are your partners. How do you move on stage with them rather than against them? That's the question you're going to have to answer. So what's the point? You are communicating a message, and it's your job to reinforce it. Your stage presence is as much part of the song as the message itself. Don't get crazy, though. Subtlety really is still appropriate. Freaking out on stage is not. So look at these guys. They're like maniacs. So how do you take the chaos and make your band look like you're all the same? Well, you need to reinforce the singer. You don't want to upstage the lead singer or stand next to them unless you're doing something where you're grooving with them in the music. If you're not, back off. Also, you don't want to overperform behind the singer. That's definitely upstaging if you're back there just going nuts. Singers. Now, if you're not singing, you have 2 jobs. You can engage the audience down front, or you can get out of the way. It's time for the spotlight to shift to the band, so move back. Next, the rest of you on stage need to work on creating angles. And I like to think about using a 3-point plan to illustrate this idea. The idea is that you make the stage look interesting. You don't want it to look like there's these traffic jams on stage, because it looks messy when people start bumping into each other and you're just in an accident on stage constantly. That doesn't mean you can't go back to back with a bass player and you're playing for a moment, or you're showing your camaraderie with the drummer. The point is that you're there for the audience and to put on a show. The 3-point system is an idea that you create a triangle between yourself and at least 2 other people on the stage. If you're a 5-piece band, you kind of take the lead singer out of the mix as they're at the front of the stage. So you and the 2 guitar players and the bass player, you kind of move back and forth across the stage in sort of a moving triangle. And you can just sort of, this is a very casual idea. Don't go too bananas on it, but it keeps the stage open and looking good. You want to keep attention, though, to the singer when they're delivering the song. The message of the song is the name of the game. And when they're not singing, the spotlight needs to return to the band or whoever the soloist is, because it's their turn in the spotlight. Well, this is just the beginning of you and your band improving your stage presence. It's work, and make no mistake about it. You need to apply these ideas, and then maybe as you begin to do some of these, they'll begin to look much more natural. They'll look like you, and the impact you're going to have on your audience will be very noticeable. I mean, very noticeable. So go out there and get them. Attack the audience. I've always said that getting on the stage sort of feels like you're standing on the edge of a cliff. You have your toes up over the edge, and you're leaning out over the abyss, and you're screaming, "Ah!" It's really risky, but the payoff is huge. I hope you got something out of this video today. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my channel. So what do you think you might use? Were you going to use the 3-point system? Maybe the 6-quadrant system? Or how you're going to go ahead and interact with the other members on stage? Please comment below and let me know what you think. Until next time, I am being Todd. I'm 6'5", 220, and cut like a piece of granite.
There's a guitar.